Tanya Jennissen, welcome to Impact Influence. How are you?
Sunny, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. You're like
Good.
guest number 01 for me, so it's a pretty special occasion for me. I hope it's half as special for you as well, of course, right? But it's pretty special for me, so thank you very much for being part of this.
I'm honoured, and I thank you very much for asking me. So I'm very happy to show up for myself and you today. Thank you, Sunny.
Awesome. So I'm curious, Tanya, I've known you for a while, right? And just curious about one question. What do you know to be true in life that you know 110% is true, and it would be an easy task convincing other people that's the case?
We're going to start with heavy hitters today.
Yeah, I know. We
Yes,
don't muck around here.
I love it. No, it's great. Let's get straight into it. One thing I believe that is true, that I know that is true, is we have one way out of this life, and we all know where we're headed, and everything that we do in between is up to us. So it's up to us to take control and take the reins of our life, because we know the end result. We know exactly where we're all headed, and I know that to be true. And I think a lot of other people know it to be true, but they don't acknowledge it.
What's the impact for you of that? Because that's a pretty hardcore thing to say. I agree. But what's the impact for you?
100%. I think it helps me stay true to who I am, especially in those hard times when I have to make decisions. And I know I foresee things, like I don't live in the future, but I foresee where I'll be headed, and one day thinking, okay, well, I'm not going to be here one day. Does this moment matter? Will this decision matter when I'm not here? And making decisions that do matter and will have an impact while I'm here. So that
Yeah.
it definitely is like my guiding light. It sort of helps me put perspective on my decision making.
And in terms of your North Star, kind of like what's your credo? What's kind of like the guiding principle you live by every day? What's kind of your North Star in that respect?
Just doing things that are right for me, choosing me every day and choosing what feels good. I mean, life can, as we both know, can be very tough and challenging at a lot of points. We have a lot of highs, we have a lot of lows. But as far as my North Star goes, it helps me do what I want to do every day that means something to me. Even though I can't see the fruition of it that day, I know I'm working towards something that will mean something, or I'm doing something meaningful every day that will equate to something bigger. Does that make sense?
Cool. Yeah, it does. It's something we'll get to a little bit later on, because you said some
Yeah.
interesting things which I'd love to expand on a little bit later on. But might just step back a little bit. Where did it all start for you? Kind of like what's been your journey, into this lifetime that we're currently in? Kind of where did it all start?
Oh, so I was born.
It's a good
No,
start.
just kidding. Yeah. Oh, yeah. As far as I suppose this lifetime, I probably put it down to awareness. So the awareness all started basically when I was quite young, in my teens, and I'd finished school, and I was one of those people that didn't really know what they wanted to do, like many of us, and some of us are lucky enough to know where they want to head. I started working in hospitality because I had nothing else going on, and I thought my mum offered for me to come and work with her in a restaurant, so I started doing that. I realized at that point I really loved being social and loved being around people. And I did that for quite a few years. And then I decided to move down to Melbourne, just pack my bags and go, yeah, let's just drive down to Melbourne and see what goes on down here. 17 years later, I was there for, and I had a lot of ups and downs. I learned a lot about myself. And I think the pivotal start of this awareness started when I started having some health issues. And I can expand on that now, or we can talk about that later. I
Sure.
don't mind.
Yeah. Whatever you're comfortable with,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I was always been into health and fitness. It's always been something I've loved doing, and it's been one of my guiding lights in life. Movement, and you create a strong mind, and then you create a strong body, and everything else will flow on from there. One day I was at the gym. I was training as usual, and I felt like I was having somewhat of a heart attack, and this is probably in my early 30s or just turned 30, and I'm like, I had the pins and needles and the chest pain, and it was very frightening. I was rushed into hospital, and my heart rate was about 200, 250 beats per minute. And then I was told that I have a condition called a supraventricular tachycardia, which is an electrical fault in the heart where it gets stuck in a loop and you find your heart beating at million miles an hour, and they have to give you an injection called adenosine to then bring your heart rate back down to a resting heart rate. And that all happens very fast. So I was like, high heart rate, in hospital, injection, doctors telling me I had this. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? I'm healthy, I'm fit. And that's where it all started for me. As far as maybe a little bit of a wake-up call. I wasn't unhealthy, but I'm like, okay, what's going on with my body? What's going on with me? How can I heal myself? How can I manage this condition now? And obviously, doctors, being doctors, have offered me to go on medication for the rest of my life, which I said no to straight away. And I wanted to heal myself naturally because that's one of my philosophies is natural medicine. And from that point on, I decided to delve into the world of health and fitness a little bit harder.
Right. Okay. And you see that's where I met you. Like, obviously, you know, I've known you a while, initially in the capacity of being one of your students in spin classes. And I say this to everyone I see, you absolutely smash us. And you go in going, okay, you got to get ready for a TJ smashing. And at the end of it, you come out physically, mentally drained, but it's that good sort of pain, right? It's that good emotion, those good endorphins. But it's got to be hard because that's one bowl of what you do. The whole, you know, being a spin class instructor, you've got a lot of things that are happening, really cool, awesome stuff, which you're going to go into. But that's got to be hard, turning up for, you know, 30 to 40 people on a bike. You got to turn up for them. You got to turn up for yourself. But it's a big responsibility. You know, people are depending upon you to be able to whip them in the right line, right? How does that happen for you? What kind of goes through your head? What's your approach?
In as far as turning up for them, for
Yeah.
my class, it's more so turning up for myself in that moment. So in that moment, it's showing up for me and knowing that I have something of value to bring. I'm there for a reason. So it's that self-awareness, that self-confidence. And behind that driving force is a whole shitload of experience, life experience. So that's where that comes from. So the words that I say in my classes and the way that I instruct my classes come from a world of hurt, a world of pain, a world of experience, a world of, yeah, I get it, I've been there, a world of empathy, and a world of just allowing people to be their best for themselves for that 30 minutes, 45, an hour, whatever it is. So giving them the space to be themselves, but also being accountable in that moment and showing up in that moment.
Why is it so important that they be the best for themselves in that 35, 40 minutes? Why is it so important, do you think?
Question. It's because if we don't put ourselves first, we don't put ourselves and have a bit of what people will call selfishness, which I do not call at all, but I find it self-care, self-compassion, we cannot turn up for everybody else, right? So we choose our hard, we choose, you know, some of them might walk out of that room and move into, okay, now I have to go and feed my 4 kids and send my husband off to work and then do the dishes and go to school and then do a night job. You don't know what the hell's going on in people's lives. So that space there is for them not only to process things for themselves, but also to do something hard and show up and do something hard. So when they're in that moment, we're fostering resilience mentally and physically. So when they walk out of that room, everything else will feel a lot easier to deal with. Yeah. So building up that resistance, that resilience.
Yeah. It reminds me of something. I was watching a YouTube video about some admiral in America. I think it was quite high up in the military, and he gave a commencement speech. One of the things he said, he had like 10 rules, and one of them was make your bed first thing in the morning for 2 reasons. If you can make your bed successfully in the morning, you've already ticked off that small little task for the day, and so you know that you've started on a good footing. And the second reason is if you have a real shithouse day, at least you come back to a freshly made bed, and it might make you feel better when you go to sleep at night. So that was an interesting thing, just little accomplishment in the morning, and it's a little bit of a safety mechanism later on should you have a really lousy day.
I love that. And that's true. It just makes you feel better because it shows that you showed up for yourself in the morning You're thinking about yourself on the other end of the day, and you're like, oh, thank you. Thank you, my future self, for doing that for me.
It's interesting you talk about your future self. You know, like what will my future self thank me for in 20 years from now? What will they thank me for that I had the guts to do, the courage to do, or didn't do, for whatever that reason is? So I think it's an interesting thing you talk about your future self, because I think it's a very, very powerful entity, to consider.
100%. It is. I never thought of it that way. I was always, when I was younger, and I think a lot of us have been there, where it's more now. I want the satisfaction now. I want it to come now. Whereas far as thinking about yourself in the future, it's a long game. You don't get that satisfaction straight away. But if you don't start now, another 5 years will go, and you're like, shit, I should have started. I didn't think about myself in 5 years' time. And you're like, fuck, like that could have happened, and that could have happened. And and again, that driving force, like we're all going in the one place. We can't get away with that. Like we're all heading there. So it's like, well, fucking man up. Like Mama Lang would be like, man up. Put your big boy pants on and take accountability for yourself, and show up for yourself, and show up for your future self, and do those hard things.
But what do you reckon stops people from showing up, manning up, put your big boy pants on? What do you think stops people from doing that?
A lot. Our self-narrative, the talk in our head that everybody has, the imposter syndrome, the doubt and self-belief. What would people think? A lot comes around the self-narrative. Also your support system. Do you have the right people in your corner? Do you have the right people who are by your side, happy to watch you fly, happy to support you as being an individual rather than trying to hold you back? I think those are two main driving forces in people's sabotage or not willing to do it. And also because it's fucking hard, Sonny.
Yeah, it is. It's very hard.
You starting this podcast, like that had to be hard.
Oh, it's freaking hard. It's fucking hard. It really was. It required a lot of, it still does, right? A lot of courage, a lot of what the hell am I doing? And sabotage. Sorry, the imposter syndrome, man, that is freaking real. Like the imposter syndrome is so real. But I guess it comes to a stage, irrespective of what you're doing in life, you get to a stage where I am playing small. I know I'm playing small. I reckon I'm capable of a little bit more. And I think most of us kind of suffer this same sort of fate. But do you want this to be the pattern of behavior that's going to continue to replicate itself?
Exactly right. And then if you don't change something, nothing's ever going to change. So it's about doing those hard things and showing up. And like you're like gone, you know what, fuck it. This is, again, brings it back to your values. This is what means something to me. And I have something of value to add to the world. And you know what? I'm going to do it. And that point from going, you know what, I'm going to do it, to actually actioning it is the hardest part, because people are like, yeah, I can do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. Nothing ever happens, but you've actually taken the steps to do it. And now we're here.
Right? You mentioned a couple of things just a few moments ago. You mentioned the narrative, the self-talk, that I guess that little mini me inside of you that doesn't serve, support, and nurture you. I guess if it's not doing those three things, it ain't cool, right? How do you manage and deal with that little voice in your head, which maybe isn't on your side? Because, let's be honest, many times it's not on our side, right? That little voice in the head. How do you kind of manage that?
To be honest, I never knew how to manage that. I didn't realize in the past, like a lot of us didn't have the self-awareness about how much it was ruling my decisions back in the day and how much it was ruling my life. And a lot of people are unconsciously led by those thoughts and those voices. So it's about creating space between the voice and you. And that's hard. So that comes with a lot of work. And I've done a shitload of work and I'm still working on myself. So that comes with journaling. That comes with meditating. That comes with speaking with supportive people. That comes with taking the time and taking the self-compassion to go, no, I'm going to stop in this moment, and recognizing where these voices are coming from, or the narrative, I should say, and why. Start questioning it. Why? Why self-critic? Why imposter? Why do you feel this way? Why don't you think I can do this? What do you want to let me know? It's about developing a relationship with those internal voices. And once you start to recognize those voices and create that space, you start to foster a relationship with those voices and go, here we go. Here comes that self-critic. I know. Okay, I can hear
That
you.
old chestnut. Yeah, that old
Yeah,
chestnut.
here we go.
Yeah.
Now
Come back
I
to it,
know.
right?
Yeah, sitting there. I'm like, fuck, okay, all right, we're going to play like this today. Oh, good. I know you're there, but it doesn't mean I'm going to indulge you. It means I'm going to take a moment and come from the self rather than this. I'm going to come from this. Yeah, so that it comes with worth and awareness is what I'm trying to say. It comes with awareness.
Because quite often these voices, the ones I guess that don't serve, support, and nurture you, I believe we don't need to own them. I find, in person, I can only talk about myself, but I'll tend to own some of these thoughts, and these thoughts are just not cool thoughts to own, right? But I don't need to own every thought that goes through my head, and that's something I guess I'm working on. Like everyone, I'm a work in progress, but really just trying to filter which thoughts I choose to own and which thoughts I choose to observe, and just be that passive observer and try and let just go by. Don't own that. Not worth owning. But it's a
100%.
work in progress, right? Sometimes I do okay, sometimes I screw it up. But that's how life goes, right? We're all a work in progress.
100%, Sunny. And we all can't be perfect in every moment. And that's one thing that you've just said, some I observe and some I just completely fuck up and they just take over. And you're like, what the hell just happened? I thought I had you in check, dude, but I didn't have you in check. And you're like, fuck, I just fucked that up. And,
I know, yeah.
But again, it's and that comes back to the self-compassion as well. It's like, okay, well, I'm only human. I have emotions. Sometimes I can't check myself because you can't always check yourself because you're always like, oh, I can't do this. It's just too hard. But it's just some days we're going to fly off the handle and some days they're going to go to absolute shit. And some days are going to be great. We're going to just absolutely nail them and we're on top of the world. But I think we have to come with the awareness that that's going to be part of it as well, right? That those thoughts are going to come up.
Why do you think we're not, you talked about kindness and compassion and I guess being loving, for yourself. Why do you think we as humans don't particularly do a good job at that? This self-love.
Oh, a lot of different aspects. Really good question though.
I'm hitting with him today, right? I'm really hitting him up.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. Fucking bring it. That's what we're here for. I love the robust conversations.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep it real, right? Because a lot of us face this and it's
every day.
Rife. It's rife. Expectations on ourselves, expectations from family, expectations from society. They're some of the factors that why we don't practice self-compassion.
Yeah.
We feel selfish if we do stop and take the time for ourselves. What think? I'm letting down my family. Like I'm going, sorry, honey, I'm going off for 2 days to a retreat. I'm going mountain biking for 2 days. Fuck, I feel so selfish right now. But I need to fill my cup so I can come back to you as a better person.
Yeah, because everyone's got a leaky bucket. It's a leaky cup, right? It's just full of freaking leaks, right? And it's our job. It's incumbent upon us, I reckon, just to keep topping it up, right? Filling it up because shit just falls. It just, irrespective of what happens, it just falls. Like, yeah. And people shoot holes at your bucket too, right? For their own enjoyment, right? We take the cover fire, right? We take the fire, but we lose our own emotional cup. Just drains itself. I find personally that every 3 months, for some reasons, it's roughly 3 months, I observe that I need to kind of check out from the world for about 2 days. And I just go underground for 2 days. I don't contact anybody, only people that see me, my family, for 2 days, because I just it just gets too much for me. I just need to check out for a while. I like to bring as much as I possibly can to the world. I really do. But I'd recognize that I need to kind of replenish my batteries and just kind of recharge and defragment and take some chill out time. That's what I've observed for myself.
That's a better person. But if you don't, that cup, like you said, is going to have a million holes, is going to overfill, and you're going to turn into somebody that you don't want to be. Yeah, you're going to show up as somebody you don't want to be.
Of all the, like, you've spent a lot of time running classes, like you've been at the front, you've had thousands of students in the past. What's one or two things you've learned about people by observing them? Because you're a feeler. You're a very connected feeler. I know you quite well, and I get this very connected feeler vibe from you. What do you observe? What have you observed in people over your time, doing classes and in your industries and in the fitness world?
No, thank you for saying that. Connection is one of my big values. So I'm glad that I can connect with, and I've connected with you. In observation of people is probably at the beginning. So I've been teaching now for 15 years.
Yeah,
And at the beginning, you see a lot of people.
Yeah.
You see a lot of patterns. I've noticed at the beginning, one thing that was for me that I noticed more for myself, then I'll bring it back to my people, was that I took things personally when people didn't like my class or didn't like me. That was a very personal attack. Now, since I've grown and I've gotten over that, I don't operate from that level anymore. I've noticed people are creatures of habit. People do not want to do anything hard for themselves, but they're happy to turn up and get their asses kicked. So
what does that say about people? What does that say about people? Yeah.
It shows that we get very comfortable. So we are creatures of habit. We get very comfortable. And if they turn up to the class, I know they're going to get, what they want. They're going to get a sweat session. They're going to be challenged mentally and physically, but they can't do that themselves. And that's, I always say, we're probably not going to do this to ourselves, but it depends on where you're at as well, whether you're going to be in that headspace to do something hard for yourself. But creatures of habit, and everybody's different. That's what I've learned about people. Everybody's just different. Everybody needs something different. Someone that might need a little tap on the elbow on the way through in the morning, a feel, or eye contact, or someone might need, okay, these are the metrics. People like the numbers, or some people might like the positive psychology. So you try to drop all those things through. And that was, to me, makes a great coach. You have to try to drop all those things through to connect in different ways. So you have to realize that everybody is different and everybody connects differently. That's something I have learnt, and that's something that I have noticed.
What I've noticed, sitting on the other side of the equation, I've noticed one of the first things you kind of say is, how's everyone feeling today? And you kind of pause and you'll stop. And it's like you'll just feel, you won't look, but you'll just feel, you'll kind of feel for a vibe. What's the underlying tone of the room? And then you might say something like feels like pretty good today. Feels like there's a bit of energy. Or you might say, feels a little bit flat. I don't know. I'm just kind of getting an idea that it feels a bit flat. So that's what I observe you doing a lot. You'll kind of temper the room. You're trying to put a temperature gauge into the room and find out what your baseline is. And you go, okay. And I'm assuming you go, okay, I need to do this in order to do this now. That's what I've observed, which is very powerful.
Nailed it.
Yeah, which is very powerful,
I think that's bringing it back to being real, right?
Yeah, in a world which is very unreal at the moment. I mean, everything's unreal. I mean, people are just out there doing what they've got to do. I guess everyone's got to do what they've got to do, and whatever it is, that everyone's got a mission to do what they've got to do. But being real is the rarity, I think, these days, irrespective of what you're doing, So to keep it real is pretty damn impressive, and it works,
I'm glad that it works, and thank you for saying that, because that's great feedback, and it also allows me to know that I'm on the right path with the way that I turn up for my people every day. But just gauge the temperature. Just, do we have a shit weekend? Do we have a shit night's sleep? Are we, and then, like I said, it allows me to then bring into that next point. Okay, well, they're feeling really good today. I'm going to bring it. Or we're not feeling too good, so I might warm them up a little bit softer and then come at them hard on the back end when they're warmed up. So it's just about, you can't just be, okay, this playlist, let's go. Like, I'm not like that. There's a lot of people, the way that we've been taught so I've come from a cycle background, I've come from a Les Mills background, and I've also come from a cycle burn background. So I've worked for all the big clubs now, I work for Virgin Active in Sydney, and we have our own way that we do things, but also I can't be a robot. I'm not a robot. I can't just go, this is my playlist. Like, I will throw things in if I feel like I need to. If they're feeling down, I need a bit of pep up. If they're feeling really good, I need to bring it next level. And I think that's what makes you a good connector. And engaging what people really want. And that's being real. And that's being connected.
So you're a stone's throw away from become a fully fledged naturopath.
Yes.
You're not far away, right? So that's kind of around the corner, right? Why naturopathy? What kind of led you on that journey? What was the thing that really got you into that?
So coming back to where we started earlier in our conversation with health and having that health scare with the heart condition, I decided that I didn't want to go down the conventional path of medication, and I wanted to delve a bit deeper because health is one of my massive values. And I decided to delve into becoming a personal trainer as well as doing my diploma of health science, so I could understand the body. It would allow me to understand the body better and allow to manage myself better, and also help my students with my knowledge that I had. I did that for quite a few years, and the point of just before COVID, many of us had the chance, or when COVID happened, many of us had that chance to stop and reflect and use that time however we wanted to use that time. I used that in a lot of solitude, like we all did, and a lot of discovery and a lot of self, just going inward and asking myself some questions for my future self, right? Bring it back. And I decided that I go two ways. It was either the path you should go is becoming a dietitian and working in hospitals. I'm like, fuck that. That doesn't sound interesting to me at all. There's got to be something more to this life. I love natural health. I love natural medicine. And I looked at becoming a naturopath and what it entailed as a holistic approach to health, lifestyle, diet, herbal medicine, nutrition. And that was everything that I am as a person. So I decided in 2020 to start my degree at the age of, now I'm giving it all away, at the age of 39. So I'm 5 years into a 6-year degree that I've been doing part-time. I finish my studies next year, hopefully about halfway through. So I am at the sticky point, or the end point, as we should say. So that's where it all started, and that's how I made my decisions at those times. Yeah.
And what is the kind of future? I mean, once you're done, right? Once you've qualified and you're out there in the big bad world, what potentially might that look like for you?
The continual education. It's a massive space. So for me, it'd be educating people, children, parents. It will be writing books. It will be practicing, however that looks like. But more so, I'll be moving into that mental health space. So that for me is very, very rife, and we all are suffering at some point of something, or somebody we know next to us is suffering from something. And it's about giving people the tools again to being able to manage and identify, having the awareness and then managing it. Yeah. And that's where I see myself in the world until
what we came back to at the start of this conversation, right? The inevitable element.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the inevitability of it all. Yeah. So you mentioned going back COVID before, that was a unique experience for everyone, because everyone learned something about themselves from COVID. Do you think society at large learned the lesson, and it's all individual, that they were supposed to learn during COVID? Because these things are part of something bigger than just whatever the theories are about how it came about, right? There's a hidden meaning behind it, I believe, at least. Do you think society learned the lessons that they were supposed to learn?
No, because look at us.
Tell me more. I mean, I agree, but it's a very controversial, multifaceted 100%. Answer.
If you're happy to go there, I'm happy to delve in.
Let's go. Let's go, baby.
A little bit, yeah. So let's go, baby.
Yeah.
I love it. No, because look at us, right? So we're straight back into routine. We're straight back into higher stress levels. We're straight back into societal pressures. I believe that time was a time for us to collectively awaken and collectively get to stop and collectively vibrate higher, so to say. And I believe maybe for a moment that some of us felt that and have now pursued passions off the back of that, or pursued a life that is meaningful to them, which is amazing. Most of us are going, oh, cool, yep, Uber Eats, I can get this online, I can get that online. And I'm not dissing, I'm not judging, I'm not judging. Everybody do them, but I feel like everyone just slipped into this world of convenience. And now more so, our life has become more convenient, where we don't want to go and do hard things. We became very soft in that time. We were dictated to what we could do at what time, and that is not living. The higher dictation coming down about what you can do at what time and how you can live your life, and you must do this to do this, is not a free life to me. And it's, nor should be to anyone. Freedom of rights is very, very passionate project of me. You should be able to do you. You should be able to live a free life and make your own choices. So that didn't sit well with me. And obviously there's a lot more to this conversation. At another point, we'll go into a different stage of this, but a lot of the things were out of our control at the higher level. So circling back to your actual question, did we learn what we need to learn? No.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think COVID was a great opportunity for us collectively to explore parts of our lives, our personalities that we are hanging on to, maybe we haven't released, and we've all got shit that we haven't dealt with, right? We've all got that shit.
100%.
Typically, stemming from maybe childhood. I think we've caught up at that. This childhood trauma is a very, very real element in life. And a lot of people will just dismiss it, but I think it's pivotal. I think it absolutely explains a lot about people. How do you kind of navigate the challenges of childhood trauma and what it means to you today? And have you kind of sidestepped certain things and been able to progress and move beyond certain things?
A lot of stuff I haven't moved past. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that it still sits there.
That's being real. That's being real.
100%.
We are being real. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's a lot of things that, like, I'm not sitting here saying I live the perfect life. By all means, I don't. I try my best, right? We all try our best every single day, and this is what we need to do with each other, is come from a place of kindness and realize that person in front of us might be just trying their best, right? So I haven't went through all my childhood trauma. I'm aware of what has happened in my childhood, in my past, and why now I make the decisions I've been making unconsciously because of that conditioning, that trauma. But how I manage that is actually starting to do the hard work and going inward and facing myself. So meeting with a psychologist, meeting with a counselor, being willing to face the hard things, right? Being willing to face all that, to unravel it, so then I can make sense of it the best I can, and then it'll give me the best hope I can for myself moving forward and the best life for myself. Because if we don't address these issues, we will not allow ourselves to have a better future. We'll keep sabotaging ourselves. We'll keep on going back into our default system. We'll keep on listening to that self-critic, or that I'm not worthy, or I am not good enough. We need to address where that root problem comes from. That stems coming back to being a naturopath. We have these philosophies in naturopathy, and a lot of it's bringing back to identify the root cause, right? So we have to identify the root cause. So if you are inflamed, we need to identify where that inflammation is coming from, right? And it's the same thing with your trauma. We need to identify where that is coming from. Where is it stemming from? It might be beyond you. It might be generational trauma that you're carrying, right? This might be beyond you, but by you actually identifying it, facing the pain, you're the one that's able to then stop the cycle for yourself or for your children.
Yeah, like the source, right? You're talking about the source.
The source.
The epicenter, the source, where it all kind of originates from.
Yeah, it's going back to that, where it stems from, identifying it.
What are your limiting beliefs, TJ? What limits you?
On a good day, on a bad day. This is being
On
real.
any day.
On any day. On a bad day, it's or it used to be, who am I to do this? Who am I to do that? Who am I to be a naturopath? Who am I to sit in front of 30 people and teach them a class and come from my values? Who am I to do that, right? That used to be one of my limiting beliefs, not anymore. More so these days, how am I going to make that happen? And that's, to me, is limiting. Like, how am I going to actually make that happen? Like, how is that possible when I have these big overarching dreams? Or, how am I going to make that happen? And then you go back into, then you start defaulting, it's too hard. I don't know the right people. I don't have the money. I don't have the expertise. So it just starts this cascade. So for me, that'd be one of my limiting beliefs. It's how can I make that happen? And I suppose a worthiness that we all struggle with.
Do you find yourself worthy? Do you find that sense of I'm worthy?
It used to be a lot more rife with me. It's slowly dissipating, that self-worth.
Good for
And
you.
that's, thanks, honey. I think we all battle with it. A lot of people just don't talk about it. And I always look at those people and go, how do they just get through life so unscathed? But I'm thinking, are they just surface? Like maybe they're just surface. Maybe they're actually not going underground and just deciding to do the excavation like some of us really want to come out the other side. But I do know I'm worthy. Not I think I'm worthy. I know I'm worthy. I know I'm
Good for you.
worthy because of my life experience, and I have something of value to add to the world.
Yeah.
So
Beca-
I back myself.
Yeah, that's good. I guess some people are plodders and they'll plod along, and maybe they're designed to be plodding along, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with it, nothing wrong with it. It just is what it is. And some people will go, as you said, beneath the waves and get smashed around and get bitten and get attacked by sharks and all this sort of stuff. Come up for air, then go back down again, and it just becomes this cycle. But it reminds me of this cartoon I saw in a medical surgery about 10 years ago. And it was a picture of a guy, and he was very unkempt. So his tie was down here. His suit was all crumpled. And the caption was, you weren't meant to get to the end of your life in pristine condition. You were supposed to get there with battle scars, looking worse for wear, like you've lived a life. And I think that is very true.
I love that. That's life. You're going to be kicked around. You're going to be hurt. You're going to be crushed. You're going to find yourself without anything at some point. And I think a lot of us are scared to go there because we just want to be comfortable, Sonny. There's too much safety and comfort. It's true. You want to know that you've actually lived. You want to know that you've had your heart broken. You want to know that you went all in on something, but you know what? Fuck it. You fucking did it. Everything's not meant to last forever. So that's, coming with a bit of detachment around it. Like if there was security in it, everybody would do it, but they don't because they don't know that it's going to work out. But if you put your heart and soul into something that means something to you, that's enough. Like whether it lasts 5 seconds or 50 years, good on you if it does last 50 years, but that's living, that's feeling the emotion, that's feeling the ups and downs, that's showing up, right? That's showing
Yeah.
up to life.
You talked about comfort just literally a couple of seconds ago.
Hmm.
What do you think comfort equals?
Complacency.
Can you go a little bit more about that?
Complacency, stagnant, boring, to me anyway.
Yeah.
Comfort, it's so much this one. I can go in a rabbit hole about this one. More so these years since COVID's happened, we've become more creatures of comfort because there's so many things that don't even allow us to walk out the door. We can survive indoors with, having everything brought to us. We don't have to think. We put on a computer. We don't have to go out and do anything hard. So it builds complacency and it builds softness of the spirit and the mind because you're not going out there doing anything hard. You're not challenging yourself. You're not socializing with people. You're not going out and doing that hard thing like attacking a challenge or doing the hard exercise or you go and do, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Again, I bring it back to everybody does them. And I'm coming not from a place of judgment, but this is what I believe in. And if the comfortability of life is really easy to settle into, but then you turn 80 or 90, you're lucky enough to get there with your health, and you go, fuck, what was that all about?
What did I do? Yeah.
Fuck, I should have done that. I've spoken to my mum, bringing it back to something a bit personal. My mum's now 74. Sorry, mum, if you're 75 or less. If she does listen to this. But she goes, I regret. She goes, you know what, Tanya? She goes, there was this time when I was younger that I was offered a trip. Like, this is really simple. I was offered a trip to go to Tasmania for a week with work, and I didn't take it. She goes,
And she remembers that. She remembers that now.
She remembers that
Wow.
now, right? It's because it was leaving my dad. It was leaving us at a young age, right? And she goes, good on you, because I've been lucky enough to get some trips to work. Good on you for going, She goes, geez, you got a good life,
Yeah.
because I took the opportunity, but she didn't because she didn't put herself first. And that's been, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm just saying that's just bringing it back to putting it into perspective, right?
Yeah.
That regret. She's looking back now at all the things that she's missed out on. Now she feels she's too old to do them. And she's got some health issues, unfortunately. So we need to do it. It's bringing it back to that end point, right? We all know where we're going while we can. I've got 2 legs. I've got 2 arms. I say in Sunny, what do I say in class? We're alive. Yeah? No more fucking excuses.
And you got to bring the attitude. You have to bring the attitude too. That's what you say a lot too. You got to bring the attitude. I had this thing when I remember I was 5 years of age. I was in kindergarten, I think it was, and my mother enrolled me into guitar lessons. And I love music. I love listening to guitar. I just really love it, right? And I remember I was trying to learn how to play the guitar as a 5-year-old, and I was finding really hard, and the teacher was really a bit strict, so it wasn't kind of gelling, right? And I said to my mother, I said, listen, I don't like it, I don't want to do this. And then she said, just keep going for a little while longer. I said, okay. Went for another month or so. I said to her, listen, it's not working for me. And she says, okay, that's fine, we'll just give it away. So we gave it away, and I was 5 years of age, and that was 45 years ago. Okay. I regret that to this very day. I wish I just persisted and increased the muscle memory and just learned how to play the guitar. Whenever I come across a guy who plays a guitar or a girl who plays a guitar, I'll say, how the hell do you do it? And they say to me, it's all muscle memory, just memorizing and just kind of getting familiar with the strings and the frets. And it's still an instrument that I really want to learn how to play. It's on my list, and it probably speaks to me not putting it up as high as a priority as I should, because it's something I really want to do, kind of jam to some music that I like, play the electric guitar and just feel like you're The Edge or Eddie Van Halen, which is pretty cool, right?
I can see you doing that for sure.
Yeah. It's in my head. That's how much I know it's there. But I know I'm a little bit fearful because I know it's going to be hard. I tried learning on the internet myself, I think during COVID or something like that, but it didn't quite work. So I think I need actual lessons to do that. But it is something I really want to do.
And if that speaks to you, Sunny, I say face the hard things, because for your future self, can you imagine you don't know how long it's going to take you, right? Because some people could pick it up like that and it might take you longer. I'm not saying it's going to, but if you don't start, you will 5 years time, fuck.
Yeah.
Should have done that. Like, why? Like, there's nothing stopping me but this. And that's all it is. And if it's up there and it's poking, going, hello, Sunny, I know you want to play me.
Do it. Yeah, exactly. And it's there. I've got an acoustic guitar. It's like it's taunting me every day because it's there, right? I see it every day, and it's like it's taunting me. It's like, get your ass into gear and freaking do it, right? Yeah. But I've just got to do it. So I bring it back to you then. How will you make that start? So it looks at you every day, right? So what are you going to do about that? How are you going to tackle that? I reckon one of the first things I probably do is get some lessons. I think book lessons. Find a like a tutor, a guitar tutor. Do lessons where I have to go and actually meet the person and have lessons with whoever it is, and start though. And probably these little bite-sized pieces. What's that famous quote? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Just learn bit by bit, even if it's just the tab method, which is a slightly easier method, because I just want to do it just to be able to jam to music that I like, right? I don't want to create music. It's not kind of on my agenda. So that's probably the first thing I do is then just kind of take it slowly, but devote time to it. So for example, if it's every Tuesday night at 8:00, that's my little Tuesday night at 8:00. I think we all need hobbies. I'm guilty of this. I saw my GP about a year ago, and he said to me, you need a hobby. You need something that you can just do on your own and have fun, not necessarily going to a club with people, but just something that whether it's you play the guitar, you play the drums, or you write, or you do something, whatever it is that just gives you the inner peace. So I'm totally agree.
He's on the right track with that, definitely. And the awareness that you have that's pulling at you, that thread, is something that needs to be unraveled. And it's whether you're willing to show up for that or not.
Yeah, it is.
Wherever it goes, right?
It is.
So
it is.
Developing structure around that.
So for people out there who, I guess everyone's at different stages of life, they may have things that they want to achieve. Maybe they're partway during their journey, or they haven't quite started it yet. But their life is not what they want currently. So they want something different, but they're currently not experiencing what they want. What couple of bits of advice as a starting point would you give to these people? Curious.
So first of all, they have to have the awareness that they're dissatisfied in their life. And if they are, it's give them a few points of guidance is more so stop, take the time, maybe take a walk in nature, maybe take a bike ride, a walk, take a drive, whatever you like, and just contemplate the freedom in that moment, the presence in that moment, and what makes you feel alive. And I bring it back to a lot of things is like, what did you like to do as a child that you've forgotten about doing? You know, like I said, I've always wanted to play guitar since a kid. What still pokes at you? And putting away, like just taking away anything around that, going, well, if I could do that, you know, what stopped me, like just taking away, you know, the money aspect and taking away what other people think, like just if I want to do something that's going to make me feel good for myself, what would I love to do? You know, when I was a kid, I used to love bike riding, and I still ride bikes. I ride bikes outside and I ride bikes inside.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
something
indoors
that's
and
always
outside.
been
Yeah.
with me. Yeah. So, and it also comes back to your values. What do you value? And a lot of people don't know what their values are, because your values are your guiding lights. Your values will bring you back to what's important and what you enjoy doing. So do you value nature? Do you value health? Do you value money? Do you value connection? I would start with, first of all, getting out of your head and into your body. So moving, walking, running, doing something that gets you out, and then writing a list for yourself. What are my values? What do I value? I value freedom. I value traveling. You know, and that's probably why people feel dissatisfied these days, because they're not living in alignment with themselves.
Yeah.
With what's,
You mentioned your head.
yeah.
I think I do believe this. If you're in your head, you're dead. Like I think Anthony Robbins
Yeah, good
famously
one.
quoted that one. If you're in your head, you're dead. More is lost from because it leads to inaction, right? And I've suffered a lot of that, just staying in my head for far too long. And you think, you know what, I don't need to exist there anymore. You know, I do not need to exist.
And that's great awareness, like, and thanks for sharing that, because we do all get stuck in our heads, and it's so normal, Sunny. Like, it's so normal. You could just be like, wake up and you're tired and you're just having one of those days where you're just constantly looping the thoughts. But it's about, again, creating space, creating awareness, and bringing it back to your values. So how I work is, if I'm having a really bad day, what is important to me? What is within my control? Okay, what I eat is within my control. Who I socialize with is within my control. How I exercise is within my control. So bring it back to things that are within my control that mean something to me. Health, I value exercise, I value my uni degree. So I bring it back to those. Okay, if I could do those today, great. And then the day ends up becoming an okay day, because you're doing things that are mean things to you and are in line with your values. So I would say to people, just bring it back to who you are, bring it back to your values. What's really important to you? Yeah. If you don't know, you can't show up for yourself for others.
How do you deal with failure?
I think well now. Well, a lot
We're all
better
become
now.
seasoned failures.
Oh, God, shit. I love how you just drop the mic on the question.
I know.
So bang.
Just
I'm
came
like,
to me, you know.
fuck. Oh my
Thoughts you're on a
God.
winner, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, like, this is cruising. In the past, I used to deal with failure a lot worse than I do now. I used to thought it was a reflection on who I was on a person, and that's completely normal. And I used to attach myself to the outcome until I failed a lot. To bring it back to something personal, I know I've had a few businesses that have failed. I had a failed marriage. That was probably one of the hardest pivotal moments of my life. I remember sitting there on the beach one day after I'd got up willingly and left my husband, and I left my house and all the creature comforts and the security. And I'm like, fuck, like, I'm doing this for a reason. I don't know what, like, I knew intrinsically that I had to, but I didn't really know the whys and the hows. And then to everybody else in that moment, I'd failed. And then in the eyes of my family, I'd failed. In the eyes of my culture, I had failed, because I come from a Greek heritage. My mother's Greek, my dad's Dutch, and that cultural, you get married, you stay married.
Yeah.
Stay there.
Yeah.
You know?
Irrespective of what?
Yeah, irrespective of what losing yourself. But I failed. That was hard, and it took me a long time to get over that. But I came to realize in my journey that it was me just trying to live the best life I could for me. And I was losing myself to what everybody else wanted. So it's a societal thing. I think the failure comes from, it's like, who have I failed in according to me, or according to societal expectations, family expectations, what society wants from me, what my job wants from me, what my mum wants from me, Yeah, I failed them at that point because they didn't know any better. But I was in that moment going, well, this is important for me. So from the back of that, I just grew and grew. So I went from that into failure acceptance. Failure is part of life.
You mentioned just a few moments ago that you made this very difficult decisions, like tough calls, to walk away, from your marriage. Did you know deep down that was the right thing to do, despite it being significantly easier to stay? Like, did you get that feeling that it's a shitty decision, it's hard, but it's the one I need to do? Is that kind of what was going through you at the time?
Yeah, there was a lot of things going through my mind at that time. And I know a lot of us that are listening out there have been through that, or maybe
Yeah.
contemplating going through that. And everybody's journey is individual and different. But for me in that moment, if I didn't, I would have been living a lie.
What if you'd lived that lie? What then?
It would have been a lie. I don't know. It could have turned out to be a fairy tale, But you make a decision, you back it. I knew in that moment, or not in that just one moment, but I knew that there was something, I couldn't explain it, There was something in here that told me I need to get out, I need to leave. And I wasn't unsafe or anything. Beautiful man, no hard feelings, and I hope he's living a beautiful life right now. It was more that for me, there was just something like, this is not what your life's supposed to be. And I didn't know where that was coming from, but I had to listen to it because it was so loud in my heart, in my head. I'm like, I don't know. I can't make any fucking sense of this right now.
Yeah.
But it is so loud. I need to listen to it. I need to back myself.
Interesting.
So I did.
I was watching this podcast. I think Steven Spielberg was doing some sort of address to some university. And he's talking about the voices, the little whispers in your head. And then the caption was, listen to the whispers in your head. Because if you don't listen to those whispers in your head, the voices get louder and louder and louder until you get smacked on the back of the freaking head with a bit of wood, right? And then you go, I should have listened to that, damn, But yeah, it's very powerful. But I think it's a lot easier to kind of take the path of least resistance and go, it's okay. It's all good. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Just life's not perfect. That's okay. Life's not perfect. And that's the easier path to take. So kudos to you. That's total respect, for making a very difficult decision. Total respect. Because I think
hard.
I can only imagine. Because the vast majority wouldn't do it. Sorry.
No, it broke my heart. It broke everybody else's heart. I felt like I let every single person that was close to me down, and I lost a lot of people. But in that, I wouldn't be the person I am today, which I'm very fucking proud of. Yeah, I wouldn't have been almost being a naturopath. I wouldn't have moved from Melbourne to Queensland to Sydney, going on this journey. I wouldn't have grown. I wouldn't have done the self-awareness. I wouldn't have gone to the point of actually getting to know myself. It's been a massive ride, and again, I probably don't want to touch on it now in another conversation where I'm coming to another closure in my life again at the moment, and it's still quite raw to talk about. But, I wouldn't have gone through that ride either. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to share how many years with somebody else, and I'm like, well, these are obviously all my decisions that have led me to these places, but I would have been that same person then, now, and all that experience and all that heartache and all that failure and all those challenges and all those hard things and all the crying. I'm not painting a picture of it, but it was fucking hard, and I'm just keeping it real. But you come out of it. You pick yourself up and you go, all right, well, what now?
That's also very exciting, huh? It's like what now?
100%. Yeah. It's liberating. It's not saying, people should go out and divorce their spouses. What I'm saying is if there is something pulling at you, if there is something talking to you, it's worth investigating and really asking yourself, where is it coming from? What are these, what's it trying to tell me? And can I grow from this? Do I want to grow from this? And again, fucking one way out, Sonny. Like one way out, mate.
That's the only guarantee we got, right? That one way out. It sounds like it was a bit of a cathartic release. Those cathartic moments when you just go and you just breathe, and you might get emotional, and I had one recently. It was just, I found a very releasing time. I think sometimes you spoke about a few moments ago, you lose friends along the way. And I think that's a natural part of, you will lose friends upon the way. Maybe your friends are there for a specific period of time, and that's cool, right? But you might grow to a different level. Your life goes into a different level, which you're actively taking it, and not everyone's going to go on that ride. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of natural.
100%. It is natural. And it's okay. That's the thing. It's okay to have the people by your side when they're by your side. And I think a lot of that comes with detachment and going, okay, well, they served their purpose through that time, and I'm going to have to say goodbye. Or they naturally fall away. Like, you find that there's no resistance anymore. Like, things happen and they just naturally fall away, and you're like, okay, well, it's making room for something else.
Yeah, it's organic, right? It's organic. Yeah. What do you think you're making room for? What do you think you're making room for now?
My higher version of myself. Yeah. So having to really show up now. I am, see, that choice, that active choice of being a naturopath, since I started that choice, it's been a fucking shit show. I've moved interstate twice. I've gone through a divorce or prior to that, and then a recent breakup. I've lived with my parents. I've faced some childhood trauma. I've gone through other health issues in between. But you know what? That's led me now to the point where I have the life experience. And when I'm a practitioner, I'll be a fucking great practitioner. Because I will be coming from those places. I get it. I understand. And I'm like, now it's time for me to show up. And it's getting harder. So this next 12 months that I've got ahead of me until I'm fully qualified, I'm starting to see the space getting cleared now of stuff, more so.
That's interesting, hey? That's interesting. That's got to mean you're on the right path. That's a clear indication you're on the right path. I think two things: that you're on the path when that happens, and when some negative stuff happens, it's just like the world's way of kind of releasing all the negative emotions and negative energy that's out there. So it sounds like it's the right path. Sounds awesome. What's one last bit of, I don't know, I don't want to call it advice, right? But it's what you've learned from your experiences, your journey. What's one or two things that you think that other people would benefit from really feeling and understanding about how they approach their life? You've got the battle scars to create.
Yeah, it's fucking hard. Speak your truth.
Speak the truth. Speak your truth.
Speak your truth.
Well said.
Speak your truth and show up for yourself.
Yeah. I think the song My Way by Frank Sinatra, if you read the lyrics, that says that at its core. Yeah. Just 100%. Do things your way. They've only made one Tanya Jennissen. They've only made one Sunny Singh. So why be somebody else?
100%. Show up as you. And that's why you're showing up doing this, Sunny, which I absolutely love.
Thank you.
I think it's fucking awesome.
Thank you. Tanya Jennissen, thank you very much for being guest number one. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Sunny.
I know our paths will continue to cross, but you'll be graduating soon. Mm-hmm. Probably next year sometime? Am I right saying that? Like 2026?
Yeah, 2026, probably towards 3/4 of the way through the year. I'll be fully qualified naturopath, which will be exciting and scary.
And you'll be out there in the wild with the theoretical and the practical knowledge. Awesome. That's awesome. And change some lives. That's awesome. Cool.
100%. It's all about changing lives and showing up as you.
That's it. Thank you very much, Tanya.
Thank you for having me, Sunny. It's been great.
All right. Take care. Bye.
You too. Thanks. Bye.
All right.